And we're not going to hear the classics. You've heard plenty of that. You've heard the Whiskey and the Jars. You've heard the Loch Lomans. This is about contemporary Scottish music that you probably didn't even know was Scottish. Sound good? All right. Here's one. Here's some audience participation on this one, if you please. And this is another ode to bad Scottish weather. You will know this one. Everything inside and out. Slow change may pull us apart. When the light gets into your heart, don't you? You see, you forgot the words, didn't you? Yeah, because you know the name of the song, right? That was your bit to get me. Need your guys' help. Oh no. So you guys are going to be my rhythm section, all right? So can you give, for this one, can you give me a bit of this? Give me a bit of that? Let's see if we can hear it. Here we go. Don't know why I came here tonight. I got the feeling that something ain't right. We'll come back to it later. Now, the same guy who wrote that song would write another song that would probably be the most iconic song of the 70s, and it's a very, very different vibe. Another crazy day, you're drinking out away and forget about everything. One more year and then you'll be high. I'm gonna be the man who wakes up where you. And when I get drunk, which is quite likely, let's face it, because this is Scotland. And we know how much our Scots like a drink, isn't that right? When I get drunk, here comes the havering. Everyone, come on now. Oh, so wait, it's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. But my biggest problem is this. 1,000 miles? How big do they think Scotland is? The border, exactly, the border with England is 60 miles long. Ireland is only 30 miles away. You can't walk 1,000 miles in a straight line in Scotland and still be in Scotland. Unless, of course, they're so drunk they've gotten disorientated and they're walking around in circles trying to find this woman. You walk 1,000... Take a lot of pain. Love is like a cloud. It holds a lot of rain. Love hurts. Now you're probably wondering where that one's coming in with a Scottish connection. The heavy rock band from the early 70s, Nazareth, are from Dunfermline in Scotland, and that was the song that made them. Yeah, it's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. And here comes the bagpipe solo. See, it's very subtle in there. You weren't really expecting that, were you? There are tanks, there are guns, and there are bombs, and there are guns in their heads, They're fighting. Fighting? Guns? How did they ever get famous like that? I always wondered if that song was going to sound any more Irish, maybe it should sound like this. We want potatoes. We want starch, we like starch, we eat starch, arch, and they're baked, and they're fried, and they're boiled, and they're mashed in the fields, they are growing. And I saw you look like this without a reason. Another promise falling through, another season passes by you. Now you probably know this one as well. That's Big Country by the band. In a Big Country. Exactly. Must have taken them hours to think of that. Oh guys, we got this big hit, right? Okay, Big Country. What are we going to call ourselves? Call ourselves Big Country. Yeah. But I think but in calling themselves Big Country, do they know where they live? They live in Scotland. It's a little country. I think that Proclaimers 500 miles thing, they've been taking down. All right, here's the last one you'll be pleased to know. And it's possibly the greatest of all the Scottish bards. Burns, you ask? Nay. And if you please, I shall quote. If you want my body, and you think I'm sexy, come on, sugar, let me know. Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. His father was Scottish. But that song I have a real problem with, and it's this problem, right? He's talking about this old tart. It's Rock and Rod, it's Britt Ekland, it's Rachel Hunter. That Rod has been where every decent blonde worth having is worth having. I think it probably should have sounded like this. The morning sun, when it's in your face, shows you're underage. But that don't worry me none, expensive lawyers will save my skin. I laughed at all of your jokes, read all of your Facebook posts, can't listen